the first speaker we have is going to be Secretary James Baker. He has an unparalleled career, having served as U.S. Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, and twice as White House Chief of Staff to Presidents Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. During his tenure as Secretary of State, the Cold War ended peacefully, the Soviet Union was dissolved, and democracy spread across the globe. Most importantly, for some of us here tonight, Secretary Baker forged the international coalition that forced Saddam Hussein's troops from Kuwait. He's a senior partner with the law firm Baker Botts, and he and his wife Susan have 8 children and 19 grandchildren. So please help me welcome Secretary James Baker.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Scott, for that very generous introduction. I need to start these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, by telling you that anytime I get to come back to Brazoria County, I feel like I'm coming home, even though I was born and raised and still live in Harris County, Texas, Houston. But I had the wisdom to marry a woman from Brazoria County. She's here with us tonight, Susan Baker. She was born and raised right here in Danbury, Texas, so it's a pleasure for me to be back here. Mr. Speaker, Ramesh, Jim Fitterling, Hashem, Sheikh Mubarak al-Sabah, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure for me to be here, and I think it is quite fitting that we are celebrating this joint venture between American and Kuwaiti companies today. That's because this is the 29th anniversary of a critical moment that led to the end of the Cold War, and at the same time fortified the U.S.-Kuwaiti relationship, so that is so very important to the geostrategic success of both of our countries. On September 9, 1990, President George H.W. Bush and I were in Helsinki, Finland, meeting with Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev to discuss Saddam Hussein's failure to remove his troops from Kuwait, even though we had obtained a UN Security Council resolution telling him to do that. Now remember, at this time, Iraq was a client state of the Soviet Union. Nevertheless, after a 7-hour meeting, Bush and Gorbachev issued a joint statement indicating that both of them were prepared to take additional steps if sanctions failed to force Iraq's retreat from Kuwait. Here's what the Washington Post published the next day about that Bush-Gorbachev statement. The two leaders of nations that were once bitter enemies issued an unprecedented joint declaration condemning Iraq for its invasion of Kuwait. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was unprecedented. And the rest, as they say, is history. The Cold War ended, communism collapsed. 5 months later, Operation Desert Storm liberated Kuwait. The cooperation the United States and the Soviet Union displayed in confronting Iraq played an extremely important role in the peaceful end of the Cold War. But the story really doesn't end there. In the intervening 29 years since then, the relationship between Kuwait and the United States has steadily grown to the benefit of both countries. Militarily, America continues to offer strong support for that important Persian Gulf ally. At the same time, Kuwait is a key partner in the ongoing U.S.-led campaign against international terrorism. Perhaps nothing better symbolizes the excellent relationship between the two countries than their bilateral trade and investment efforts. Today, trade between the United States and Kuwait is almost 9 times higher than it was in 1990. Joint ventures like this one, meanwhile, promote job growth right here in America. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to congratulate all of you, MEGlobal, for developing this wonderful facility that will strengthen the Texas economy, just as it will also serve to strengthen the ties between the United States and Kuwait. In many ways, this joint venture is an amazing testament to actions that occurred in the name of peace almost 29 years ago. Actions that help build a productive and durable friendship that continues today between our two countries. Thank you all very much.